Today we're going to talk about Aftercare. I realize I've already done an episode on Aftercare, but what I covered was Tegaderm, which is the default Aftercare we recommend at the studio. What I wasn't really counting on was the feedback I was going to get from people who can't use it, and it does occasionally happen. In specific, I would like to give a shout out to my buddy Ricky in Leicester, who really inspired this entire episode. So today we're going to cover an alternate to Tegaderm for those of you who, for whatever reason, skin sensitivities, antidepressants that trigger skin sensitivities, anything like that. We're going to look at a method that you can use that will be safe and effective to protect your work and doesn't involve the awesome Tegaderm. I would like to reiterate and stress though that whenever possible, always use Tegaderm. It is the best way to heal a tattoo. Now, having said that, let's get straight to how to apply dry lock and Sensi Wrap. How's that for noise? So yeah, the best thing to do, Linda does not want her face shown, so as much as possible.
It doesn't really matter.
All right, so here it is, dry lock. This is functionally the same sort of stuff you find steaks laid out on or chicken laid out on in your local supermarket. Dry padded section on this side, plastic section on this side. This will be your prime bandage for a new tattoo. After we apply this to your new tattoo, we then seal it all up with Dynarex Sensi Wrap. This stuff is awesome. Originally developed, as I understand it, for the vet industry, it only sticks to itself. It's not actually an adhesive, so it's perfect for little furry limbs. And as you will shortly see, it's very, very perfect for protecting a new tattoo as well. So, for the sake of argument, we're going to pretend that this tattoo on my lovely assistant Linda's arm is fresh and new and not quite well healed and settled in. So with a new tattoo, you start out, in this particular instance, this is not what you would do with Tegaderm, but you start out with a very small amount of vitamin A and D or Vaseline, or even, I'm gonna edit this part out, man, this stuff, Hustle Butter Deluxe. If it's available to you, this is actually really good stuff. We'll just use Vaseline for the sake of argument. So a very, very thin amount applied to the tattoo itself to help soothe the fresh new tattoo. You do not want to use too much of this. Your artist, when applying this, should know this already. About the same amount that you may use if you were applying chapstick. So the main reason that you want to apply a very thin layer of ointment is so that the somewhat cotton fiber-like surface of the dry lock doesn't actually stick to the tattoo itself. But at the same time, you don't want to use too much because too much is going to get very goopy, very gross, very slimy, and potentially smother your tattoo more than you want it to. So, very, very thin, small amount of whichever ointment you choose. You then place your dry lock over top of the tattoo. Now this piece of dry lock is much larger than it needs to be, but it's all I had on hand because I don't really use this product anymore. So once it's been put over top, a little bit of tape just to affix it. This stuff is great if you actually get it on your skin. It leaves a goop that just will not stop. Then, the Sensi Wrap. This stuff's gold. Now you want to make sure that it's not too tight. If it's too tight, it's gonna constrict blood flow and make the hand turn purple and blue. It's no good. Just firm enough to hold it in place, not too tight. Look at that, sexy. The benefit of this, because it only sticks to itself, if your client has very, very sensitive skin, the Sensi Wrap isn't going to bother them because it's not an adhesive. It's only sticking to itself. Also, if you do find that it's a little bit tight, seems okay at the time, but develops a little bit too much constriction, the client can always loosen it and reattach quite easily. It looks tight, looks slick, and it's an excellent, excellent protection against any manner of interference. The main drawback to it is you can't see the new tattoo and clients want to see their work. Any given client that you do this with will likely try to take it off before you want them to, just so they can show it off. But sometimes you have to go with this. This is also good for people who work very, very physically demanding jobs and whose tattoos are likely going to receive some sort of physical damage, warehouse workers, etc. In this particular instance, you would want to leave this on till the following morning. And again, in situations like warehouse workers, laborers, etc., they will probably want to reapply. In that case, whenever possible, always go back to your tattoo artist and have them reapply it, because there's a very, very good chance if it's just left up to the client that they're not going to do it right. right. However, if the client you're working with doesn't have to work a physically demanding job and they can keep their tattoo basically protected on their own, this can come off in the morning. You can leave now.
Sweet.
So now, ideally with Tegaderm, you leave the bandaging on for 4 days. That allows your tattoo, at least on a surface level, to heal completely. There's no muss, no fuss. By the time the Tegaderm comes off, all you need is a little bit of whatever moisturizer you prefer. You're right as rain. Just keep basically some of the flakiness to a minimum. That's with Tegaderm. With this method, the dry lock and Sensi Wrap, the problem is when it comes off, your tattoo is still an open wound. That's where things start getting complicated. So the first order of business is the correct way to clean it. So when you do have a tattoo that has bandaging that comes off, within 24 hours, what you're going to want to do is very thoroughly wash the tattoo. Now, a lot of places will make a lot of noise about antibacterial unscented soap. In my experience, soap is soap. It doesn't really matter that much. Only in very rare instances will somebody's skin be so sensitive to the scent used in soap that it's a problem. So what you want to do is very thoroughly lather your new tattoo. And I mean really, really heavily, sudsy lather the hell out of your new tattoo for at least 30 seconds. Statistically speaking, you need at least 30 seconds of lather with soap to kill microbial life. So lather the hell out of your new tattoo. Then, equally important, rinse the hell out of your new tattoo. That's the key. You do not want to leave any soap residue whatsoever in your new tattoo. So rinse it, rinse it, rinse it. Make sure it is absolutely rinsed clean. Then you either pat it dry with paper towel or you let it air dry. No other method of drying a tattoo is acceptable. Toilet paper and tissue is too weak and fibrous. It will leave bits in your new tattoo, your open wound. That's not good. And no matter how clean you think your towel fresh out of the dryer is, odds are it has fecal bacteria all over it because almost nobody regularly runs washer loads of bleach to kill all kinds of fecal bacteria. So don't use a washcloth or a towel right out of the dryer. That's bad news. Only paper towel. Once your tattoo's been dried, leave it alone. Wash it frequently. That's the only moisturizer you need for the first day or so, until it starts to feel really tight. Then is when you want to start with your moisturizer. What I usually recommend to people is to use a base lotion. Now motherfuckers. Lots of places will give you a lot of different recommendations for bacitracin, Lubriderm, Aveeno, any number of different ointments, any number of different lotions. In the long run, my personal opinion is that base lotion is the best because almost all of those other lotions started out as base lotion anyways. So the most commonly available base lotion is Glaxol base lotion by Wellskin. Comes in lotion or cream. You usually want the cream, a little bit thicker, stays in the skin longer. Now, if you think about it, let's use Lubriderm as an example. Lubriderm started as base lotion, and then they added whatever ingredients they were going to make it Lubriderm. Aveeno started as base lotion, and they added whatever ingredients they were going to add to it to make it Aveeno. Base lotion is base lotion with nothing else in it. It is the lowest common denominator of lotion you can get. Another way to look at it is that if you get a prescription for some sort of topical medication, cortisone, etc., if you go to the pharmacy, they don't put it in Lubriderm or Aveeno. They put it in base lotion. If you develop eczema as a complication of some sort of surgery, chemotherapy, etc., they don't give you Lubriderm or Aveeno or Vaseline, they give you base lotion. So always, always, always just cut out the middleman. Go straight to the source. Another thing to think about is your usual water-based unscented lotion has no scent. That's perfume doing that. If there's nothing you can smell in your lotion, there's perfume in it neutralizing the scent. Glaxol base smells like paint. You know there's no perfume in that stuff. So when your new tattoo starts to feel dry and tight, start using a very, very small amount of Glaxol base lotion cream to keep the dryness from getting to a point where it starts to scab up or crack. Liberally apply it as many times as you want, but make sure not to use too much, because if you smother it, all kinds of bad things will happen. Always keep the chapstick effect in mind. You want to use as much moisturizer as you would use chapstick. After that, clean it often, moisturize it often, don't pick at it, don't scratch at it, don't lick it, don't let anyone else lick it. And I know everybody's laughing right now, but I'm telling you right now, dogs are going to try because they think they're helping, and there's a lot of stupid people who might actually think a new tattoo tastes good. Don't lick it or let anyone else's tongues near your fucking tattoo. Follow these instructions, and for the most part, you should be right as rain. You should be able to keep on top of microbial interference, and you shouldn't get an infection. Always remember that there is that outside chance, especially when you're using an old school method like dry lock and sensor wrap versus Tegaderm. Microbial life has a way of sneaking in no matter how faithful you are to these instructions. It's important to try to keep in mind that if you do get an infection, it's not always your fault, and it's certainly not always the artist's fault either. Always remember that. Sometimes these things just happen. Hopefully this helps. Hopefully if you have any other questions, you will see fit to comment down below. And if there's enough serious concerns, I will do a part 3 if I have to. Hopefully I won't though. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Motherfucker is on his way.